right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of KickSaga. This is a follow-up episode where we're going to talk to Parker Simpson of Shiny Pigeon Games and learn about how his Kickstarter for Trash Dash did. That's a mouthful. Trash Dash did. So if you want to learn about all the things he did to prepare before the Kickstarter launched, we have that video that happened just before this one. So go check that out. And then you could jump in here and learn about how things went and what he learned. Welcome, Parker. Thanks for coming back.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me back on. Excited to have a positive report.
Yeah. So congrats, man. You funded and you kind of knocked it out of the park with funding. You definitely got well over your goal there. And how do you feel about it?
Honestly, it's been almost 2 weeks since the end of the Kickstarter, and my brain is still kind of processing like just how successful it was.
Yeah.
As like a first-time creator, I wasn't really sure what to expect going into it. Obviously, if listeners watched the last video, they kind of know my anxieties, I guess, moving forward into the campaign.
Right.
But yeah, we had a goal of $12,000, which would cover the minimum print run of Trash Dash, would be 1,500 copies. We ended up almost tripling that with a total of 34,000 from over 800 backers, which is wild. Just wild. So
yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, let's talk about kind of how this happened. And as far as you know, sometimes it's just you never know how these things pan out. But let's go back to that first day when you hit the launch button and you were, I assume, kind of sitting there waiting for things to happen. Talk through kind of your feelings and what happened on those first few hours.
It's kind of a blur. The first hour, kind of seeing the number kind of tick up a little bit as I was going. It was really exciting to just kind of check every 15 minutes and see that the number changed.
Nice. Did it go as quickly as you were expecting?
I honestly wasn't really sure. Moving into it, I was mostly just excited to have this Kickstarter launch and fund over the course of the month that it was running. I think we funded on, the third or fourth day.
Okay.
So the funding was coming in pretty quickly. A lot of folks who I've connected with were reaching out the day of. I think I probably spammed people on social media quite a bit with all my posts and excitement and stuff over it. So
talk about that as far as what you did with social media over the first, maybe the day before and then the day of launch.
Sure. So we talked about my numbers and stuff on my email list and social media and stuff in the last video. But essentially I just did I staggered the reminders. So Kickstarter will give you an automatic notification when the game launches if you're following the actual Kickstarter page. So I didn't want to blast people with all of the things all at once. So I kind of staggered things leading up to it. I think I did some 48-hour reminders on social media. I did a 24-hour reminder in the email newsletter. And then I did, again, launch day stuff on social media.
Right.
So I was trying to not bug people too much, at least all at once.
Yeah.
I kind of spread things out a little bit so it wasn't just one big dump of information.
Right.
And also just considering the fact that not everybody is going to check their emails or social media or whatever Monday morning or Tuesday morning or whatever. So kind of spreading them out, I felt would give it a little bit better chances of more people actually seeing it and engaging with it. So.
Let's dig a little bit deeper into that. What did you actually put in those messages? Was it just hey, here's a reminder, we're going to launch on Kickstarter in 48 hours, or were there instructions on how to back? Were there, other types of things in those messages? I'm curious what was actually in those.
Yeah, so I'm actually just pulling up my email campaigns. So in the 24-hour alert for the email people, I basically just went over what the pledge levels would be. This wasn't a 24-hour alert. This was like a 48-hour alert, I believe.
Okay.
So it was a couple days out, but I wanted to give the email subscribers a little bit of like a sneak peek at what they should expect on the Kickstarter page. So it broke down all the different pledge levels of like what you get in each of them. I think I had some of the like stretch goals outlined as well. So I wanted to give the folks on the email newsletter a little bit more of like a behind the scenes look, since they were following like the actual company page. And then on the other social media sites and everything, I just kind of put links to the things and just information about like what's going on, I guess. At that point, I had my overview video finally edited. That was so I'm trying to do most of this stuff by myself, so there was like less overhead.
Right.
So I shot the entire overview video. I did the voiceover. I did the editing. It was a lot of work. So it wasn't finished until like a couple of days before the Kickstarter launched. So that was really nice to be able to like drop that a couple of days before as well. And I think that got a lot of engagement from the people following the social media. So
cool. Yeah, that's great. I love that you're doing most of the stuff yourself. And it's I think that's kind of part of the appeal too, right? They love to see the creator so involved in everything that's going on with the project.
I had like my brother and my nephew. I had a couple of folks from church, and then some other like artist friends who were all in the overview video. So it was a nice like it definitely had a homemade vibe. We were filming in like a back alley behind the public art center in my town. So we kind of got into the theme. We had a bunch of like trash cans and stuff in the background. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
But it definitely looks. I don't want to say completely homemade, but it had like a homemade charm to it, I guess. Would be how I'd put it.
Cool. Yeah. And that kind of fits the theme too, right? It's a trash dash. They're dashing around. They're writing. There's writing on cardboard boxes and ripped papers, everything. And so it's kind of, it has a slightly unpolished look to it. And so everything kind of leans into that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So sounds like things were going pretty good the first few days. How, usually, there's like a big kind of rush to back at the beginning of the project, and then things die off. Did you experience kind of a mid-campaign slump, and were there anything you did during the campaign as it was running to try to kind of pick up interest?
So that's something that I was aware of moving into it, because that is something that designers talk about a lot, is like having that essential just like plateau mid-campaign. I'm looking at my funding progress chart on Kickstarter. Kickstarter gives you so much like behind the scenes analytics for your actual campaign. So like if you're a creator looking to do a crowdfunding campaign, like just running a single campaign will give you a lot of insight into like what is actually moving the needle forward. But yeah, so in the funding progress chart, it actually continually steady went up. It wasn't obviously as huge as like the first week. Like the first week spiked up to and beyond the funding goal, and then past that, it looked like it was about an average of like $500 to $1,500 each day, which was pretty remarkable. I think a lot of that is due in part to the amount of like manic energy I put into the campaign. I went into it knowing that there was the potential to kind of slow down midway. So I made kind of a calendar of updates that I wanted to send out. So in Trash Dash, there's 6 playable characters. Each of the characters has a specific map setup that you can put together that's like their signature track. Like in Mario Kart or any other racing games, it's like, oh, that's their hometown map or whatever. So knowing that, I wanted to kind of highlight those things throughout the campaign, because not everybody has played the game. A lot of my like newsletter backers and everything have been a part of like demos and have actually like seen the game like in real life. But I knew that a lot of my backers coming in through Kickstarter, who were finding it through external sources, they didn't have that experience with it. So I wanted to make sure that they were connecting with like the characters and like the story behind the game, but also like the mechanisms and gameplay and stuff. So every couple of days I would drop a specific spotlight. So let's say it was the possums spotlight. So I would talk about Penelope, give her a little like thematic backstory about like her personality or whatever. But then I would also go over like her specific strategies. So the possum, she really likes using scare cards, which are the ones that let you discard from your opponents. So both of her asymmetric abilities kind of benefit from scaring your opponents. So I kind of talked about the different players who would enjoy playing as Penelope. And I did that for each of those 6 characters. So that was some good content. I got a lot of interested people commenting on those posts, just wanting to learn more about the characters and that sort of thing. I also transitioned, like I said, into the signature tracks for each of them as well, which was actually something that I did a bit more like community interaction of actually brainstorming names for the tracks. So right now it's just been Penelope's signature track. But I wanted to have some thematic, like fun, like names to kind of associate with the tracks. Cause I mean, you play Mario Kart, everybody knows what Rainbow Road is. Everybody knows like those iconic names for these like really fun tracks. So I wanted to capture a little bit of that vibe. And I kind of brainstormed with the community through those updates to get their input and their ideas. So that was a lot of fun as well.
Cool. So it sounds like you had lots of updates to keep your backers involved and keep folks who, were visiting the Kickstarter page, shows that you're active and that you're, engaged and that you have these ideas and you're getting them involved, which is definitely really cool. Were there other things you did to kind of bring outside people in, things like you did on social media or videos or content? You partner with content creators, those types of things to get kind of attention to the Kickstarter.
Yeah, so I would have to say, outside of doing in-person events where I'm demoing at like conventions or like game stores or that sort of thing, outside of doing those events, partnering with content creators is probably the most important aspect of why I funded so much. Being able to get your game in front of other audiences, having that social proof of like these are professional previewers. If they're saying that the game is enjoyable, then chances are it is actually enjoyable. Right. One of the things with Kickstarter is there's such a low barrier of entry that anyone can create something on Kickstarter. Anybody can become a game designer, which is awesome. Like having that low barrier of entry is fantastic. That's the reason that I'm able to do this at all. And it allows so many other people to also have that opportunity. But at the same time, as a consumer, you have to be a little bit more cautious because there's not as much of a vetting process for these products.
Yep.
So I felt that was very important as a first time creator to partner with these content creators to get, like I said, that social proof that the game is actually enjoyable. And honestly, it didn't cost a ton. Most previewers or reviewers, they don't want to like sully their opinion by having like money exchanged. So a lot of the paid content is unbiased and just presenting the product. I'll give an example. I partnered with Tantrum House for a preview video, and that cost a couple $100. So that set me back, but it also got it in front of their entire audience. Again, this was not a review, so they didn't actually give any like opinions on the gameplay. They just presented the game as it was, went over everything, and had it available on their channel. So moving from that, I also wanted to partner with some smaller creators who could actually give their opinions and voice either their concerns or their praise in a, like I said, unsullied, like there's no money involved or whatever. Most of these content creators, they do want like a copy of the game when it hits retail. So that feels like a fairly small investment on my part to send them a copy of the game when it funds, to get their opinions and feedback and get my game in front of their audience. I think I'm kind of rambling a lot, but it was super important to partner with those people and not just use them as like a like a way to get views, but actually partnering with them, creating those connections, and like fostering that relationship. There's quite a few content creators that with future games, I'm definitely going to try to reach out to them again. And just being able to interact with them on like Instagram and YouTube and stuff is super fun because I've learned about new games through their channel just in the time that I've been following them in the last couple of months. So
yeah, that's great. It's good to make that distinction between previews and overviews and reviews, because I think that gets lost in the general population sometimes when they're thinking about, what can I trust these reviews that are going out about the games? And for the most part, reviews, are not paid. And it's always, if someone's giving their opinion, most of the time,
most of that.
most of the time they're not getting compensated other than maybe a free copy of the game or something like that. And then, you have those kind of higher quality overviews where they're just giving you facts about the game. This is what it is. This is how it plays. This is, maybe who it's for. And typically those will be kind of the larger channels that you might pay for. And so it's good to separate that and make that clear so people can understand how that works.
For sure.
And it
and you have to have it in your mindset of like, this is a marketing expense. This is, if I'm spending money to have like that overview or preview put together, that kind of falls in the same category as paying for Facebook ads or something like that.
Totally. So during the campaign, was there anything that that surprised you, like things that either went better than expected or didn't quite go as you expected? Anything that you could point out that that might help folks?
Honestly, outside of the consistent like funding, I'm not sure if I was necessarily surprised by anything. Like I said, outside of like overfunding to such an extent. One thing to note, like I said, I'm looking at all my analytics and stuff. A significant portion of the backers came through discovering the game on Kickstarter.
Nice.
So I've actually chatted with some other designers about this recently, about doing a Kickstarter campaign versus just doing like pre-orders or like a soft launch.
Yeah.
Because this is what I've done with two of my games. So I've got Trash Dash, obviously what we've been talking about. I ran the Kickstarter for it and everything. But I've also got another game called Disgraced House, that I just recently ran a pre-order of, actually right before the Trash Dash campaign.
Oh,
wow. So this one is a smaller, basically it's just a deck of cards with some tokens. So the cost to manufacture is significantly lower.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with like a print on demand service for that one and did just a pre-order on my website. And it did fairly well between me and my co-designer. We were able to kind of muster up some sales and stuff. And it went well. We funded a small print order, which is actually coming in soon, which is exciting.
Nice.
But had I done that campaign on Kickstarter specifically, it would have done significantly better. So that's actually something that we're thinking about for like not necessarily a second edition, but like a second print run. We're probably going to do it specifically through Kickstarter. Just the visibility and the, I don't know if it's like a trust thing, because like Kickstarter is a known platform, so people are a little bit more comfortable.
And I guess there are people that are just browsing Kickstarter looking for interesting games, and maybe they'll back one game and then kind of browse a little bit and find another one. So that's you just have the people who go there for games, and that's a good built-in audience that it's really hard to capture that otherwise.
Another thing that really helped on Kickstarter as well, Trash Dash was featured in one of their email newsletters.
Nice.
And it also received the Project We Love badge, which got it put into another separate category and also newsletter. So just being on the Kickstarter platform, I didn't know moving into it. Like I knew that there was going to be some positive growth specifically from being on the platform.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't expect it to be as heavy as it was. Had I just stuck with like my existing audience and the newsletter and social media and stuff, I think we definitely would have funded, but it probably would have been like right around the actual funding goal. But I think it snowballed because of the platform to get to where it ended up.
Was there anything you think you did to encourage the game to be in the newsletter and be a project we love?
Honestly, I think it had to do with the engagement. Like I said earlier, I did a bunch of updates highlighting specific parts of the game, but I also had some extra content that I'm in the process of creating for the game. That was really it was really fun to share that through the updates as well, and I think that that hooked a lot of people, and it got obviously more comments on the updates, like with responses and stuff, and the more activity, I think that just boosts it up in the algorithm or however they do it. But but those were really fun because I have been developing 4 more of the trash cards. So in the game, you're grabbing items out of trash cans. And one of the things that I've gotten in consistent feedback from players is that they want more variety in the trash cards. So right now there's 8 in the current game, but I've been developing 4 new abilities. So taking those and creating posts with these mystery trash items to kind of show off the effects and kind of talk about why they're useful, like when to use them in gameplay, like what it'll benefit for you. But then also just getting, like I said, brainstorming with the backers, like what kind of trash do you think this is? Like what kind of, like what would you eat out of the garbage to give you this ability or whatever? So I got a lot of really fun responses from folks on that. And then just keeping the conversation going has been super helpful. And like you said, people come to the page, and if they see that I'm actively like engaging with other backers, I feel like that does give a little bit more.
It gets Kickstarter's attention, right? And they
Yeah,
see
it gets Kickstarter's
that
attention, but it also gets backers' attention, or potential
Right.
backers' attention,
Yep.
because they'll see like, oh, this creator is invested in communication. They want to make sure that everybody is understanding what's going on, and they want to include the backers that are committed to the game.
Great. So what is kind of the next steps? Do you have a pledge manager that you're using, or are you going to kind of just use what the Kickstarter tools that are there? Kind of what's the next step to get the game to the backers?
So thankfully, I plan to use BackerKit from the get go.
Great.
Especially now that we have 800 backers to manage. That's definitely was a good choice.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be setting up the pledge management through BackerKit. They recommended to wait until after the funds have been processed to actually set everything up, just in case there are pledges that get dropped or new pledges that are brought on. So the pledge manager will be open soon. I've got late pledges on Kickstarter continuing through the end of November. So it'll be sometime in November that I have the actual BackerKit pledge manager put together. So I'm just kind of juggling that at the moment to make sure that that's getting set up appropriately before I start sending out like surveys and that sort of thing.
Very cool. What is the next step after that? So once the game gets delivered to backers, what is kind of the future plans for your company? Do you have any new games? Are you going to look to do an expansion for this one? What's kind of on the horizon?
Sure. Yeah. So Trash Dash is looking to fulfill probably Q3 of next year, between finishing up these remaining art assets, getting the files and stuff ready for print, and getting the rule book done, which I'm not looking forward to. I just tackled the Disgraced House, the smaller card game. I tackled its rule book recently, and it took about twice as long as expected. So I'm not looking forward to doing the Trash Dash one. But that's got to be done.
Gotta do it.
Be done.
No choice.
But yeah, so once Trash Dash is delivered, I do have some expansion material in the works, just new playable characters, more trash cards, that sort of thing. So I'm not really exactly sure on a timeline for that. It would be nice to have something to release later on next year, so that there is more content. But right now I'm kind of shifting focus to Disgraced House. Since we did that smaller launch, we do have a print order coming in and we have extra stock. So I'll be turning my attention to taking that game to do more conventions, more in-person playtesting and not playtesting, demoing. So the game is done. So essentially shifting focus to Disgraced House, potentially doing that second print run through Kickstarter. I've also got a smaller card game called Reindeer Recruits, which is a Christmas themed game. Players are different elf stables on the North Pole, and Santa has retired his classic team of reindeer, so you're all competing to get your like prize reindeer onto the new team. But it's just a simple like pick a card, reveal at the same time, do the effects. But it's a fun little game. I've got a print and play version of it on my website right now that you can get for free if you're interested. But I'm looking into fleshing that one out, putting it through a little bit more development work, creating more art assets for it, and potentially having that ready for next Christmas.
Cool.
Might be cutting it a little bit close to say 2025, but we'll see.
Nice.
Yeah, got a couple of irons in the fire. Got a couple more co-designs that I'm working on, but no real timeline on those just yet either. So
very cool, exciting. So you're starting your Shiny Pigeon empire. one
game
at a time.
Yeah. So this Kickstarter definitely proved to me that there is a market for the games that I'm creating. Thankfully, with this overfunding, I can create a larger print run for Trash Dash, which brings down the unit cost, which is fantastic. It also gives me a little bit of wiggle room to invest some of that money into Disgraced House and into my other projects. And it still had a little bit left over to pay me back for travel expenses and conventions that I've been going to.
Great.
So yeah, it's been remarkably positive. And I'm just super grateful for everybody who has backed the game, given support, encouragement, helped spread the word about it. It's been a wild couple of months, but it's fantastic, and I'm super glad that this is the route that I went.
Awesome. Well, congrats, man. All the hard work paid off. It's a great game, and I wish you all the success in the world. Before we end, any kind of parting words of wisdom or any kind of tips you have for folks who might be just thinking about starting their Kickstarter journey?
Well, depending on where you are in the design process, obviously, if you've just got your idea, get it on the table, get it in front of people. But if you've got your game and you're ready to start pushing it, definitely start connecting with people in the community, whether that's content creators, other designers, influencers, whoever, and go at it with a relationship focused attitude, not just a business focused, because you really want to be creating these long-term connections with people and not just creating transactional relationships. It definitely does show if you don't actually care about the connection. So just try to be genuine, show your excitement for your projects, show equal excitement for other people's projects that you're excited about. Just treat other people's games, I guess, as worthwhile and valuable as you treat your own games. I think that would be a big thing to keep in mind.
Great advice, my friend. Well, thank you so much again. Hopefully I'll run into you soon at a convention coming up. And folks, if you want to learn more about Trash Dash or other Shiny Pigeon games, I'll have a link to the Kickstarter, so you can late pledge if you get in there, and then I'll put a link to the website so you can grab it there if it's already off of Kickstarter. Say hi to Parker if you see him at a convention. Keep following him for more of the stuff he's going to be releasing in the future. And then, of course, stay tuned to this channel for more KickSaga interviews, where we interview board game creators before they launch on Kickstarter and then follow up with them afterward to see how everything went. So thanks, guys, for watching this time, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.